Zullo, the head of education here at the Litchfield Historical Society, back again for this week's History Mystery, where we take objects in our collection and share them with those of you at home. Now, we are just finishing our 5th week of quarantine, and it has been a very long 5 weeks. I almost said months. It feels like months, but it's been only 5 weeks, and we still have a ways to go. And while it's been a difficult time, one of the things that has cheered me up and made me feel very optimistic is seeing all the ways that this community, Litchfield, has really come together during this difficult time. Whether it's been, sewing masks to donate to people who need them, or buying groceries for neighbors, or supporting local businesses, or the nightly ringing of bells. It's been really heartwarming to see all of the ways the community has really come together. And that's the theme for this week's History Mystery, is we're going to look at how during times of struggle a community can step up and come together. So I'm going to get some gloves on, since I will be handling some artifacts. Now, let me just get these on. All right, so our first object is this one here. All right, let's take a look. Have you seen anything like this before? Or might you know what it is? Well, let's take a look at some of the pieces. Down here, this twisting piece, we saw that last week, right? That's a clamp, so it clamps onto a table. And then up on the top part here, we have these 2 bars. This bar here is stationary, this thin bar, but this top one, which has a wooden handle, rotates and also can slide out. Great, so do you have a guess of what it might be? Do you already know what it was used for? Well, this object here is a bandage roller. And I know you might be saying, cool, okay, but what's a bandage roller? What was that used for? Why are they rolling all those bandages? So let's talk a little bit more about what this object was, how it was used, and when it was used. So a bandage roller like this one, as we already said, it has a clamp, so it would clamp onto a table. A piece of fabric, some muslin, would be threaded through this bottom piece to sort of give it a little tension, and then this handle would be used to roll it. So they'd be producing a bandage roll like this, which is a surgical dressing, right? So this would have been used, both of these actually were part of the same acquisition, so they were donated to the museum at the same time by the same person, and as we can see by the accession number, that was in 1981, but these objects, in fact, were used and made here in Litchfield during World War I. So World War I was a time of really great difficulty. Loss. This community obviously had, had its fair share of struggle. And before the U.S. entered into the conflict, citizens were really encouraged to do what they can and pitch in and donate to relief organizations. And one of the common objects that they would donate would be surgical dressings such as this one. Now, this type of bandage roll obviously was produced in factories at that time, right? So there were companies that were making these. However, during the war, the need for them far exceeded the supply. And that's where members of the community would really step up and pitch in and create rolled bandages to sort of help fill that shortage, so to supply what the companies could not. If that sounds familiar, it's a lot like the situation we have with face masks today. Sure, there are companies that make face masks, but since we are all required to wear them when we go outside, there's a lot of people who are making them to sort of fill that demand. Now, a surgical dressing like this one was made here in Litchfield by folks who were organized with the Litchfield Red Cross. So Litchfield actually has the oldest Red Cross organization in the state, organized in 1898. And I have from the town newspaper, I actually have a clipping about what it would have been, what exactly they were doing when they were making these rolled bandages. So this is a clipping from the Litchfield Inquirer, and it was on April 20th, 1916, so just about 1 year before the U.S. enters the conflict. And the newspaper reports that the Red Cross work goes steadily on at the social center every Friday morning. We have received a donation of $3.50 for the purchase of bandage muslin. And another friend brought along another bolt of muslin and will make it into bandages at home. The ladies of the Methodist Aid Society are working for the Red Cross and have finished another lot of 25 sling bandages. Now, in total, members of Litchfield's community produced over 242,000 rolled bandages or surgical dressings such as this one to send to the front. And as you can imagine, if you are going to be rolling that number of bandages, if you were to do it by hand, that would be extremely taxing on sort of your hands and your wrists, which is why this bandage roller was used and why it exists and how it came to be part of our collection. Now, of course, Litchfield wasn't the only community that was producing objects for the Red Cross. Over 8 million volunteers produced over 370 million relief articles during World War I. And producing things for the Red Cross was not the only way people were involved. I want to show you another really fabulous object we have from our collection. Now, I'm going to turn the camera around, so just bear with me while I do that. Okay. All right. So I have here on the table a poster that was produced by the American Red Cross during World War I. As you can see, it depicts a woman sitting and knitting with the phrase, "You can help," written across the bottom. Encouraging women to knit was one of the common ways that people pitched in. Of course, knitting was something that most women already knew how to do, so it didn't require any special training. And here in Litchfield, they produced almost 6,000 knit garments, things like sweaters, mittens, hats, and of course, socks to provide to the front line. We actually have many of these World War I posters in our collection. Not only are they really sort of stunning works of art, but they were also really important tools for communicating and really influencing the community. In fact, as the author of The History of Litchfield, Elaine White, wrote in his book in 1820, he said that without the posters, these years of war would have been drab indeed. We actually have a very large collection of these posters. Oh, I'm going to turn the camera around. Sorry for the dizzying camera work here. So we actually have a pretty large collection of these World War I posters, but showing them to you on video is probably not the best way to display them. I want to give you a chance to actually look at them in detail, and I can't do that with a shaky video. So our curator has actually gone and produced a virtual exhibit based on one of our previous exhibits. So in 2014, we had an exhibit on World War I posters, and our curator has gone and turned that into a virtual exhibit. So you can go to our website, Litchfield Historical Society.org, and see many of the posters that we have in our collection, and also learn a little bit about their context. So we have sort of the labels from the exhibit there as well. We have several virtual exhibits up on the website, so if you haven't checked those out, we have one on photography, one on fashion, one on architecture. they're a really great resource if you are looking to learn a little bit more about Litchfield's history. Now I have one other object to show you. It's a very small one. It's in a bag, and I'm going to leave it in the bag because I don't want to, I don't want to do anything bad to it. All right, so if you can take a look, this here is a small pin. You see the pin part right there. And it says on the pin itself, it has the red cross. Oh, it's sliding behind with the label. Oh, sorry guys. It says Second War Fund with a cross right in the center. Of course, one of the most common ways to show your support of something is to give a charitable donation. This pin was from a Red Cross War Relief Fund drive in May of 1918, in which their goal was to raise $100 million. And the folks in Litchfield participated in that. They held a pretty fabulous fundraiser, and with all sorts of really fun activities. Reading about it in quarantine made me a little jealous of, talks of all the great dancing and things that were going on. And then, of course, if you donated, you could have worn a pin such as that one to show that your support. Donating money to causes has always been a really great way to show that you support something. Of course, coming up next week is the Give Local campaign for Northwest Connecticut. It's a 36-hour online fundraising event where all of your favorite nonprofits in the corner of the state will be participating, including yours truly. So if you like the work that we do and you want to show your support and you are able to, we always appreciate donations, both monetarily and also just your participation in things. Great. Well, I hope that you all enjoyed this little look at how the people of Litchfield sort of came together during World War I. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the comment box. I'll be happy to answer them. Or, of course, you can email them to me at education@litchfieldhistoricalsociety.org. And from all of us here at the Historical Society, we hope you have a wonderful weekend and stay safe and stay healthy. Goodbye.